Hello and welcome to the mains PYQ discussion by Neva IAS. This is a question from the 2023 mains and it's on Vedic society and religion. Now the first part of the question is very plain and basic. What are the main features of Vedic society and religion? The second part of the question, do you think some of the features are still prevailing in Indian society? Now if you look at the format of this question, this is a classic UPSC format for mains. Now, yesterday we saw a question in mains where we discussed about Harappan civilization. The first part of the question was about the urban planning features of Harappan civilization, and the second part of the question was about the features that is still continued in modern architecture. There were similar questions about Ajanta caves as well, about Mesolithic paintings as well, where we have to connect the features of the past with the modern day. So this question has a similar format. We should have factual knowledge about Vedic society and religion. Then we should have the analytical capacity to connect it with prevailing Indian society. We have divided this question into two parts. The first part is about Vedic society. The second part is about Vedic religion as given in the question. Now in both parts, on left hand side we have given the points of the past, and on the right hand side we have given the points in the present. So the analytical part will come with this connection. Now in the introduction, we are placing this period in its correct time period, which is from 1500 BC to 500 BC. So the first 500 years belong to early Vedic period or Rig Vedic period, and the second 500 years belongs to the later Vedic period. The map here given here can be included in this question to diversify your presentation and as a value addition. The map here accurately represents 600 BC, which is a later Vedic time period. It has 16 Mahajanapadas represented in it. Even if you don't remember all of them, at least remember some of them like Magadha, Kamboja, Gandhara, Ujjain in the center. At least some of them can be remembered. Alright. Now we'll also mention the geography in the question in the introduction. We'll say that this civilization belonged to the Indus Valley, belonged to the Gangetic plain along the banks of river Ganges, Yamuna. These are the rivers that are mentioned in the Vedas as well. So we'll give these two valuations in the introduction, we'll give the map, and then we'll move to the body part. We have 4 points each in 2 parts. This is a 15 marker. We have to rely on our analysis because we don't have many points under society and religion as such separately. So we'll have to rely on our analysis and connection. So the first point in Vedic society. Vedic society was a kinship based society. Gahapadi, or the head of the household, was a superior position, and these are primitive kinship based societies. Now if you take the modern society, modern Indian society still has family as a very prevalent system. Now the form of family has changed. We have nuclear family, but when we make a comparison to the systems in the world or the Western civilization as such, Indian society is still known for its rigid family structure, which can be traced back to the Vedic period. The second system is about the social order. So the origins of the Varna classification can be traced back to the Vedic period. Caste becomes an order in the later Vedic period, and caste is still prevalent in Indian society. Now caste-based marriages, use of caste names, these are common practices in the Indian society, so we can give that point as well. Third is about the position of women. So a transition in the position of women can be witnessed in the Vedic period. In early Vedic period, they enjoyed relative autonomy. In later Vedic period, this status get declined. Their participation in yagas, yajnas, education, everything comes down. So patriarchy has its roots in that period, and it's still prevalent in Indian society. So again, that point also can be made towards, the connection can be made towards that point as well. The fourth is about the marriage system. The Vedic period talks about various marriage systems. At least 6 types of marriages are mentioned. Now, when it comes to the marriage systems, monogamy and polygamy existed. Even polyandry existed in Vedic period. If you take the case of Mahabharata, one wife had 5 husbands. But monogamy as a practice was there, and Indian society is known for its peculiar marriage cultures, which can be traced back to the period. So monogamy is still prevalent in our society. Marriage is considered as a sacred agreement, a ritualistic one, which is same as the system in Vedic period. So these are the 4 distinct features that we will trace from the Vedic society. Now moving on to the religion, the Vedic period is known for its naturalistic worship. Or for example, the worship based on fire, yagas, yajnas. Even though we don't see them in the form it was during that time, yagas and yajnas or fire-based worships are still prevalent in our society. If you take the rituals in temples, much of them can be attributed to the textures or scriptures in the Vedic period. The second is the role of cattle. So Vedic society or Vedic religion revered cattle to a great extent because it was a cattle-based economy. And cow is still a very important figure in Indian society and religion. So we can trace that point again. Moving to the third point, it's about philosophy. So you know that Upanishads or the Gita, for example, belongs to this period. The epics Ramayana and Mahabharata belongs to that period. And these are things that are still part of Indian popular culture. We use these philosophies, ideas like Nishkam Karma, or we use the literature, the epic, we transform it into modern popular culture like movies. So still our society keeps this culture going. The last one is about Iron Age culture or the agricultural part. So we are just adding this point to it. Now Vedic society was an Iron Age culture, a culture that was largely based in agriculture. And if you take the current Indian society, more than 50% of the population is engaged in agriculture. So there again, we can have a connection there. This point is not really coming under the Vedic religion part, but we'll just add this point as a value addition. Maybe we can give it as a separate point as well. Now 8 points, 8 analytical points, 8 distinct factors, 8 clear value additions, and a proper map plus the time period and other regions will set this answer on a good tone. And we'll conclude this answer by talking about the elements of continuity. When we maintain things from the past, it's important that we discard the regressive one and uphold the progressive one. And Indian society has shown this resilience. For example, we have abandoned practices like untouchability and we have maintained progressive ones. We are still in the process of this. So we'll give that analytical and philosophical conclusion to conclude this answer because this answer demands something like that. Thank you for listening.